Chosen one. Pause right here. Heaven has interrupted your scrolling, not by accident, but by divine intention. You are not here because of an algorithm. You are here because heaven scheduled this moment before time began. The Spirit has been watching you wander through the noise, waiting for the precise second when your heart would be soft enough to hear this. You are being called higher. Listen closely. The air around you carries a whisper that is not of this world. Everything in your life that seemed random, the pain, the rejection, the isolation, they were not punishments. They were positioning. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to be ordinary. Every delay, every disappointment, every door that shut in your face was heaven's way of protecting you from counterfeit blessings. You have been refined by divine design. Do you remember those nights when you felt unseen, unheard, abandoned by even the people you trusted most? Heaven saw every tear. Angels recorded every cry. You thought your prayers disappeared into silence, but they reached the very throne of God. And now, at this sacred hour, the answer has arrived. Heaven has sent 2 angels to rescue you. They are not the kind of angels found in paintings or poems. These are warriors radiant with fire, clothed in light, sent on assignment to pull you out of despair and re-establish your divine alignment. One walks before you to clear the path. The other walks beside you to strengthen your steps. They are heaven's proof that you have not been forgotten. Chosen one. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. You have been preserved through storms because your calling could not die in the flood. The darkness that tried to consume you failed because your name is known in heaven's registry. You are not just another believer. You are a marked vessel. God's fingerprint rests upon your soul. Now heaven demands your attention. The Spirit is calling you to obey fully. Half obedience is still rebellion. The rescue has already begun, but it will only be completed when you align your will with God's. This is the season where partial surrender will no longer sustain you. You must decide to follow Him with your whole heart. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision awaits its appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, it will come." These words are a reminder that heaven's timing never fails. You are not late. You are simply being synchronized with divine timing. The vision for your life is still alive, and now it is awakening. Take a deep breath. Feel the shift in your spirit. Heaven is near. The angels surrounding you right now are whispering your next instruction: obey, trust, move. The divine plan will not unfold through comfort, but through courage. This message is your confirmation that the waiting season is over. You are being called out of hesitation and into holy boldness. Do not question why the door is opening now, simply walk through it. Every time you doubted your worth, heaven saw potential. Every time you questioned your purpose, heaven reaffirmed your name in light. And now, the Creator of all things says to you, rise, chosen one. Your rescue is not a rumor, it is a reality in motion. The very atmosphere around you is shifting to make room for your next chapter. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is now activating every dormant gift inside you. The pain that once felt unbearable is becoming the fuel that propels your destiny. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Heaven does not waste pain. Every scar you carry tells a story of survival and divine favor. The angels have been watching, waiting for the precise moment to intervene, and that moment is now. So here is what you must do: obey the divine instruction fully. Do not delay. Do not rationalize. Heaven's rescue requires your participation. You cannot be passive in this season. Faith without obedience is like a key without a door. Act in faith. Speak in faith. Move in faith. This is the moment when heaven realigns your steps, reawakens your vision, and reignites your fire. The interruption you're experiencing is not a distraction, it's your divine wake-up call. God is saying, I'm still here. I'm still calling you. I'm still waiting for your yes. So pause, breathe, and answer heaven's call. Your angels are already in motion. The storm is already breaking. Your rescue has already begun. If this message speaks to your spirit, let your obedience begin with one small act, like share, and comment to let heaven know you receive it. Then subscribe so you never miss what God is speaking next. Comment the number 1111 below a prophetic sign that you align with heaven's timing and surrender to His plan fully. Chosen one. The heavens have heard the sound of your weeping. Every night you lay awake, questioning why the silence felt endless, why the answers seemed so far away. You wondered if heaven had turned its face from you, if perhaps your faith was not enough. But now the veil lifts, and truth is revealed. Every cry, every whispered prayer, every tremor of your heart was collected in divine hands. None of it was wasted. You must understand your tears have a language of their own. They speak louder than words, carrying messages that reach beyond clouds and constellations straight to the throne of God. When you thought no one saw you, heaven saw everything. When you felt invisible, angels surrounded you. Even in your loneliest hour, you were never truly alone. There were moments when you questioned if your pain served any purpose. You looked at others laughing, prospering, and you asked, why not me? Lord, yet every unanswered question, every delayed blessing, was heaven's way of writing a deeper story within you, a story not of defeat, but of redemption. You were not being punished, you were being prepared. Your cries did not vanish into the dark. They became signals, flares in the night sky that summoned divine assistance. The angels assigned to your life took notice. They saw the strength it took for you to get up each morning. They watched as you smiled through heartbreak, as you kept believing even when your faith trembled. Heaven counted every act of endurance as worship. You see, pain refines the chosen. It breaks what must be broken and shapes what must be strengthened. Without the valley, you would never recognize the mountaintop. Without loss, you would never know the depth of divine restoration. God uses what hurts to shape what heals. The Spirit whispers, nothing you have endured has been wasted. The darkness that tried to drown you only deepened your roots in faith. What the enemy meant for destruction became the very ground where miracles will bloom. Your silent tears watered the seeds of destiny, and now they are beginning to rise. According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, you keep track of all my sorrows. You collect all my tears in your book of remembrance. Do you understand the magnitude of this? The Creator of the universe has documented your sorrow. The same God who commands galaxies has written down your pain. Nothing escapes His sight. That means the very moments that broke you are the same moments that built your testimony. Heaven is not indifferent, it is intentional. Every sigh of your heart became a line in heaven's story about your endurance. What you thought was the end was only the middle. The story continues. and the author has not stopped writing. You, chosen one, are the evidence that divine mercy still reaches into human frailty. You have walked through shadows, but never been consumed. There is something unexplainable about your survival, because it was never your strength that kept you. It was grace. Invisible hands carried you when your own strength failed. You must know this: God heard you the first time, even when the answer seemed delayed. Heaven was already moving. Some battles you faced were not signs of abandonment, but signs of attention. The warfare intensified because you were closer to breakthrough than you realized. In the silence, heaven was organizing your rescue. Angels were aligning people, opportunities, and divine timing in your favor. You were being positioned, not punished. While you cried, God was crafting the escape route. When you doubted, He was still faithful. The silence was never absence, it was strategy. And now, those same tears are being transformed into testimony. Every drop of sorrow is being exchanged for strength. Every disappointment is birthing new faith. The angels who heard your cry are preparing to lead you into the next chapter, one marked not by weeping, but by worship. So do not despise your tears. They have power. They have purpose. They have summoned heaven's response. You were never forgotten in the night. You were being refined for the dawn. Chosen one, let this truth settle deep within your soul. Your prayers have reached heaven. The sound of your weeping is known in the courts of angels. The one who called you by name has sent help from his holy hill. You are seen, you are known, you are loved. And now, as the sun rises on your next season, lift your head. The same God who kept record of your sorrow will now write the chapter of your deliverance. The tears that once symbolized loss will soon testify of glory. Chosen one, the moment has come when heaven moves on your behalf. The dispatch has been sent. 2 angels, radiant in divine authority, have been released with your name written upon their assignment scrolls. They are not coming, they have already arrived. Even now, they walk unseen through the corridors of your life, aligning what was scattered, restoring what was stolen, and shielding what was sacred. You may not perceive them with your natural eyes, but your spirit already feels the shift. That sudden peace in the middle of anxiety, that unexplainable calm when chaos should have consumed you, that is their presence. They do not need recognition, they need your agreement. They operate best when your faith cooperates with heaven's command. These are not ordinary angels. They were chosen for you. One carries the sword of protection, sharp with divine justice. The other carries the scroll of restoration, sealed with heaven's decree. Together, they move as a divine unit, commissioned to rescue, realign, and re-establish your destiny. They are proof that heaven refuses to let you perish in the storm. The Spirit declares, the help you prayed for has been dispatched. The delays you once blamed on human failure were, in truth, divine choreography. Heaven waited for the right time, the right hour, and the right version of you to receive the rescue. If it had come sooner, you might have doubted its source. But now, you know, this is not coincidence. This is mercy manifested. As the voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20, "See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared." These words are not history, they are prophecy still alive. God is not only sending angels ahead of Moses, He is sending them ahead of you. Every crooked path is being made straight, every unseen snare exposed, every demonic plot dismantled. Chosen one, the unseen world is more active around you than you realize. When you nearly gave up, an angel stood between you and the darkness that sought your destruction. When you walked through danger unaware, a heavenly hand deflected what was meant to harm you. There were moments when death looked for you and could not find you because light covered you like a shield. You think survival was luck. No, it was divine interference. It was heaven saying, "Not this one. This one is chosen." There are battles you never saw, wars fought in silence, and victories written in invisible ink across your life story. Angels do not just protect, they participate in your progress. They remove blockages, stir hearts, and whisper divine instructions to people assigned to bless you. But understand, this angelic rescue does not excuse human obedience. The angels can guard your path, but they cannot walk it for you. They can open doors, but you must choose to step through them. They can fight, but you must stand. Heaven's army partners with those who move in faith. That is why this season demands your focus. You must be sensitive to the whispers around you. Not every idea that comes to your mind is random. Some are divine directions disguised as thoughts. The Spirit often hides instruction in stillness, that sudden urge to reach out, to let go, to shift. Listen to it. Heaven speaks in nudges as much as in thunder. The two angels walking beside you are assigned to rescue. Yes, but they are also assigned to reveal. One reveals what must be broken, the other what must be built. One exposes lies you've believed, the other restores the truth of who you are in Christ. Together, they restore balance between your faith and your fear, your calling and your comfort. Chosen one, take courage. You are not walking alone. Even now, as you read these words, light is breaking through the atmosphere of your home, your thoughts, your future. Divine order is being restored. Confusion is losing its grip. Hope is rising again, not the fragile hope of men, but the eternal hope of heaven. The angels sent to you are already at work. You do not have to summon them, you simply have to stay aligned. Speak faith over your life. Reject every whisper of fear. Heaven is already acting on your obedience. The more you trust, the faster divine rescue unfolds. You are in a sacred transition. This is not the end, it is the crossing point between despair and destiny. Do not return to the patterns that kept you in bondage. Do not question if you are worthy of rescue. Heaven would not send angels to what it did not value. You are heaven's investment, and heaven always protects its own. And now, as you stand in this holy moment, feel the air shift again. The rescue has already begun to manifest in the natural realm. All that was lost is being gathered back. All that was delayed is being accelerated. You are surrounded. You are safe. You are seen. Take a breath. Chosen one, and anchor this moment in faith. You have just witnessed the beginning of your divine turnaround. Now, as an act of faith, comment below, "I receive angels." These 3 words are not mere text, they are your agreement with heaven's movement. By writing them, you align your spirit with divine rescue and acknowledge that God has already sent help your way. Let this declaration echo as your testimony: heaven has moved for me. Chosen one, you have been marked. Long before you were formed in your mother's womb, heaven placed a seal upon your spirit. That seal is not visible to human eyes, yet it radiates through realms unseen. It announces to both heaven and hell that you are not ordinary, that you belong to the one who reigns above all powers. The mark you carry is divine ownership. It is proof that your life has purpose that cannot be erased. You have felt it your entire life, haven't you? That sense of being different, that quiet knowing that you could never truly blend in. Even when you tried, there were times you wished you could disappear into the crowd, silence your convictions, or live without the constant pull of destiny. But heaven's mark does not fade with rebellion. It remains. You may drift, but it will always call you back. The enemy recognizes this mark too. That is why you have faced battles others never had to fight. It is not that you are cursed, it is that you are chosen. Hell attacks what heaven anoints. Every spiritual assault, every emotional storm, every sudden wave of resistance was sent because the adversary could see the light you carry. Darkness always notices light. There were seasons you wondered, why me? Why does it seem like I fight harder, wait longer, and suffer deeper than others? The answer is simple. Your calling carries weight. The oil on your life is costly. Those who are chosen for ordinary paths do not encounter extraordinary warfare. But you were never meant for ordinary. Heaven set you apart to carry revelation, to stand when others fall, and to speak when others stay silent. The mark of the chosen one does not guarantee ease, it guarantees endurance. You were built to withstand pressure that would have crushed others. Your scars are not signs of failure, they are proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. The fact that you are still here, breathing, reading, and believing, is evidence of divine preservation. You are not here by chance. You are here because you are sealed by covenant. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 43, verse 1. But now, this is what the Lord says, He who created you, Jacob, He who formed you, Israel, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. Those words are more than ancient poetry. They are your identity. You are His. Heaven calls you by name. The universe may label you many things, but heaven's label never changes, mine. To be marked means to be noticed, protected, and guided. Wherever you go, divine attention follows. When you step into a room, the atmosphere shifts. When you speak truth, darkness trembles. Even when you feel unworthy, the mark speaks louder than your doubt. It declares to every realm, this one belongs to God. You have endured misunderstanding because of it. People have turned away not because you were wrong, but because they could not comprehend the weight of your anointing. The same light that comforts some exposes others. You were called to walk a narrow road, one that cannot be shared with everyone. The mark requires separation. Isolation was never punishment, it was preparation. Heaven hid you so that you would not be polluted by imitation. Chosen one, understand this deeply. Your difference is divine. The mark you carry draws heaven's favor and also provokes hell's fury. But both are signs that you are valuable. Do not despise the cost of your calling. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and gold is purified by fire. Likewise, your soul is being refined by trials that prove your authenticity. You were never meant to live unnoticed. The mark on your life is a beacon, calling you toward purpose, even when you run the other way. It explains the inner restlessness you feel when you try to settle for less. It is the reason compromise feels unbearable and mediocrity feels like death. The mark demands more from you because heaven invested more in you. Sometimes you may wish you could live without the weight of destiny, to wake up and not feel the call pressing against your chest. But even your resistance cannot erase divine inscription. Heaven's ink is indelible, once marked, forever remembered. The mark of the chosen is eternal. And though this mark attracts warfare, it also guarantees victory. The same seal that draws attack also demands angelic protection. You are surrounded not because you are weak, but because you are valuable. A crown is guarded more fiercely than a pebble. So too, heaven guards you. When fear whispers that you are alone, remember your mark glows brightest in the dark. When doubt tells you that your mistakes have disqualified you, remember, he who called you knew every flaw and still chose you. The seal was placed not because of perfection, but because of purpose. Chosen one, lift your head. You are not a victim of spiritual conflict. You are a vessel of divine intention. Every challenge is proof that your light matters. Every delay is training for the weight of your assignment. You do not need to seek validation from people when heaven has already stamped approval upon your soul. Walk boldly in this truth: you are chosen, sealed, and sent. The world may not understand you, but heaven celebrates you. When you move with the confidence of one marked by eternity. When you speak as one whose voice carries divine authority. When you pray as one already heard. You are his. You have always been his. The mark cannot fade. Chosen one. As heaven moves on your behalf, the atmosphere around your life feels heavier. The closer the light comes, the louder the shadows scream. The war around you is real, spiritual, invisible, and unrelenting. You sense it in the tension that never quite leaves your chest, in the sudden waves of weariness that hit when you are on the edge of breakthrough. You are not imagining it. The battle is not against flesh and blood, but against powers that despise the mark you carry. Every time you rise in faith, darkness plots your distraction. Every time you speak truth, lies gather to oppose you. This is not to frighten you, but to awaken you. You were born for this. You were born for battle. Heaven has trained your hands for war and your heart for endurance. The enemy would not fight you this hard if your future were small. Imagine this: your life is a lighthouse standing on the edge of a storm-torn sea. Waves crash against your walls. Winds howl through your cracks. Yet your light keeps shining. The purpose of the storm is not to destroy the lighthouse, but to test its foundation. Every gust of wind is proof that your light still matters. The darkness hates illumination. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 11, "Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." These words are not mere theology, they are a survival guide. You cannot enter this war unarmed. Your praise is your weapon. Your peace is your shield. Your obedience is your sword. There are moments when you will feel the pressure intensify, when familiar voices turn against you, when your own thoughts feel hostile, when you question whether God still remembers you. Do not panic. This is the shaking before the shift. When light breaks through the clouds, the storm fights hardest just before it dies. The angels assigned to you stand ready. One defends your boundaries, while the other restores your peace. You are surrounded, though you may not see it. Heaven's army moves silently, but powerfully, cutting through the fog of confusion. Every prayer you whisper becomes ammunition in the unseen realm. Every act of kindness becomes a flame that drives back darkness. And yet, chosen one, there is something deeper here, something personal. You are not fighting to prove your strength. You are fighting to protect your purpose. Every time you refuse bitterness, you win a battle. Every time you forgive, you conquer territory. Every moment you choose love over fear, you step closer to victory. This war is not about destroying you, it is about awakening you. Picture your soul as a garden. The weeds of fear and doubt have tried to overgrow the flowers of faith. But each time you pray, you pull out a root. Each time you worship, you water the soil. The angels walk its paths, guarding every seed heaven planted in you. Soon that garden will bloom again, and others will find shelter in its shade. You may not have realized it, but your endurance is ministry. The way you keep standing inspires heaven and earth alike. You are not just surviving this storm, you are teaching others how to stand in theirs. Every tear you've cried has watered someone else's hope. Every scar you bear shines as proof that grace works. Now, beloved, if this message touches your spirit, if you feel the truth of these words burning inside, let that light travel further. Just as the lighthouse shares its beam across the sea, you can share yours across the digital ocean. When you like, you amplify light. When you share, you scatter darkness. When you subscribe, you build a wall of faith with others who walk this same narrow path. And if you are moved to donate, let it not be out of obligation, but out of overflow. Think of it as pouring oil into the flame that lights this global altar. Every seed you sow keeps the message alive for those still wandering in their storm. It is not payment, it is partnership with heaven's work. The war around you is fierce, but victory is sure. You are not called to retreat, only to rise. The more you pour light, the less power darkness holds. This is your divine assignment, to keep the flame burning when others grow cold. Hold your ground. Chosen one. The wind may roar, but the foundation beneath you is eternal. And when the battle quiets, when the storm finally bows, you will stand radiant, victorious, and unshaken. Chosen one. The two angels who walk beside you are not silent companions, they are messengers. They carry whispers from the throne, instructions wrapped in peace. The storm you have survived was never random, it was a classroom. And now that the testing season fades, the teacher begins to speak. You are about to receive divine direction that will shift everything. But it will not come in thunder, it will come in stillness. Heaven often hides its greatest commands inside the quiet moments. That sudden pull in your spirit, that gentle conviction you almost ignored, that is not your imagination. That is instruction. Heaven is waiting to see if you will obey the whisper before you are trusted with the wind. You see, obedience is not about control, it is about partnership. When heaven gives direction, it is not taking from you, it is unlocking something through you. The angels assigned to you carry scrolls that can only be opened by your yes. When you hesitate, they must wait. When you obey, they move. Your surrender becomes their permission to act. Many wonder why the miracle delays, why prayers seem unanswered. Why the doors stay closed. The truth is simple. Heaven never blesses what it cannot trust. And trust begins with obedience in the small things. Before God asks you to move mountains, He asks you to move your heart. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 7, verse 23. But this is what I commanded them, saying, Obey my voice, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. Walk in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well with you. These ancient words are still alive, breathing their wisdom into your present. Obedience is not a burden, it is the bridge between chaos and peace. Chosen one. The angels who guard you are stirring now. They stand near the thresholds of your next chapter, waiting for your agreement with heaven's plan. You may feel tension, like something within you is being asked to release what once felt safe. That is because divine instruction often challenges comfort before it reveals clarity. God does not speak to impress you, He speaks to transform you. Perhaps you sense it already, a nudge to forgive, to let go, to step forward, to begin again. Do not dismiss it. Heaven's whispers often sound like risk, but they are always rooted in wisdom. The enemy will tempt you with shortcuts, but obedience will always lead you to peace. Imagine your life as a river. When you resist God's flow, the current becomes violent. But when you yield, the water carries you effortlessly toward purpose. The same river that could drown you now delivers you. Obedience is the oar in your hand. It keeps you moving even when the waves rise. You have prayed for miracles, and they are coming. But miracles are attracted to motion. When God speaks, you must move. When He warns, you must stop. When He calls, you must answer. Obedience turns revelation into reality. It is not enough to hear, you must respond. Do not underestimate small acts of obedience. The simplest yes can alter generations. Abraham's obedience birthed nations. Mary's obedience brought salvation. Your obedience will open doors that reason cannot. Heaven's pattern has always been the same promise. Instruction, obedience, manifestation. You are standing right now between instruction and manifestation. The angels sent to guide you are gentle, but they are precise. They do not force, they invite. They speak in harmony with the Spirit, and their language is timing. If you delay too long, you risk missing the window they open. If you rush ahead, you move outside divine rhythm. So wait, listen, and when the whisper comes, move quickly. Chosen one. This is not a season for hesitation. This is the season to prove that you trust God more than you trust your own logic. Heaven is watching not for perfection, but for willingness. The rescue already begun will only reach completion through your obedience. Right now, you are being asked to do something that may seem small, maybe to forgive someone, to release an old wound, or to return to a forgotten calling. Whatever it is, trust that obedience here unlocks favor there. Every yes becomes a key in heaven's hand. So take this moment, breathe, and say inwardly, I will obey. Feel peace flood your heart as heaven records your response. You are aligning with divine flow again. The angels beside you bow their heads and move forward. The rescue continues. And now, as a prophetic sign of your agreement, comment the number 4444 below. Let it be your declaration that you choose full obedience, that you align your will with heaven's voice. This number symbolizes divine order and angelic presence. As you write it, imagine heaven nodding in affirmation. This one listens. This one obeys. Chosen one. The waiting has felt endless, hasn't it? You have carried dreams that seemed to stall mid-air, prayers that echoed without answer, and promises that appeared to fade the longer you held them. Every time you reached for breakthrough, something unseen seemed to push it farther away. Yet what you called delay was never denial, it was design. There exists in heaven a rhythm that the impatient heart cannot hear. It is the rhythm of preparation. God does not delay because he forgets. He delays because he perfects. When your life seemed frozen, heaven was fortifying. Every moment of silence was soil for unseen growth. While you mourned what wasn't happening, the roots of your destiny were deepening beneath the surface. The spirit of delay is not always demonic, it can be divine. Sometimes God slows your steps not to punish you, but to protect you from arriving unready. You asked him for the door. He waited until you learned to hold the key. The waiting has been your teacher, and the lessons it imparted cannot be unlearned. You have been walking through what feels like endless wilderness. You watched others move ahead while your path seemed to loop in circles. Yet wilderness is never wasted space. It is the ground where faith matures. God used it to strip away reliance on the visible so that you could discern the invisible. He hid you not to withhold blessing but to preserve destiny. The Spirit spoke through David in the book of Psalms. Chapter 27, verse 14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. These words are not an invitation to passive waiting, they are a command to active endurance. To wait on the Lord is to serve in stillness, to worship while walking through unanswered questions, to keep your lamp burning even when the night feels long. Chosen one, you have been tested in the waiting. Patience is not learned in comfort, it is carved in delay. Heaven watches how you behave between promise and fulfillment. Will you grumble or grow? Will you doubt or trust? Will you hold faith when sight fails? These are the questions that determine whether you will carry the next level of glory. Do you remember those moments when you felt like giving up? When your faith flickered like a candle in the wind? Those were the hours when heaven leaned in closest. The angels who walk beside you recorded every whisper of hope you refused to release. That single phrase you muttered, God, I still believe, echoed louder in eternity than 1,000 perfect prayers. Delay refines. It reveals motives. It shows whether you love the promise more than the promiser. God withholds not to torment, but to purify desire until it aligns with His. When you finally receive, you will not worship the gift, you will worship the giver. There is divine strategy behind the seasons that seem still. Seeds germinate in darkness before they burst into bloom. Likewise, your destiny needed isolation before manifestation. The silence of delay was the womb of transformation. What was forming in you could not survive exposure too soon. Heaven's timing is not slow, it is sacred. You may feel as though years were stolen, opportunities lost, and relationships wasted. But heaven wastes nothing. Every detour is redeemed when you remain aligned. The delays that frustrated you will soon serve you. What took others months may take you moments once heaven opens the way. Because preparation accelerates manifestation. Chosen one, the season of delay is shifting. The same hand that held you back now releases you forward. You have passed the unseen tests, the test of faith, the test of patience, the test of unseen trust. The angels who watched you endure now go before you to announce your release. Take courage. You are stepping into divine acceleration. What felt stagnant will now flow. What seemed forgotten will now return multiplied. Heaven is restoring the years you thought were lost, redeeming the moments you thought were wasted. The waiting has made you ready. You have learned that obedience must come before opportunity, that surrender precedes speed. You have learned that faith is not proven by receiving, but by remaining. You did not break in the delay you were being built. Every tear you cried in silence became a stone in the foundation of your purpose. Chosen one, do not despise the slow chapters. They are sacred ground. The pause was protection. The stillness was shaping. The delay was preparation. And now that heaven sees you ready, the locks will break, the doors will open, and the path will unfold beneath your feet like morning light. The spirit of delay has done its work. Its purpose is complete. Now watch as everything begins to move fast, fluid, and full of grace. You waited well, and because you waited well, you will walk strong. Chosen one. Every divine story carries a warning woven into its wonder. Heaven's mercy is deep, but so is heaven's order. After every rescue comes a command: do not turn back. The path that led you into bondage cannot lead you into blessing. The same disobedience that delayed your past cannot accompany your future. There is a holy seriousness hovering over this moment. Heaven is not speaking to condemn you, but to caution you. You are standing on sacred ground, the threshold between breakthrough and breakdown, and what you choose next will determine what heaven releases. The warning of rebellion is not for the hardened heart, but for the weary one. Because rebellion does not always shout, sometimes it whispers. It hides in hesitation, in the quiet refusal to act when you know the truth. Every time you delay obedience, rebellion takes root. Heaven cannot bless what it must battle. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Samuel. Chapter 15, verse 23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. This is not poetic exaggeration, it is divine law. Rebellion disconnects you from protection. The moment you resist divine order, you step outside the covering heaven designed for your safety. You may not bow to idols carved from stone, but stubbornness can make an idol of your will. When you cling to your own understanding, when you insist on your own timing, when you demand control instead of surrender, you build altars to self. The angels assigned to you cannot move in rebellion's territory. They wait for repentance before they can act again. Chosen one. Heaven has rescued you more than once. You have felt divine mercy pull you back from choices that would have destroyed you. But understand, this mercy is not a loophole for disobedience. Mercy is the pause before justice. It gives space to return, not permission to wander. The same God who forgives is also the God who expects transformation. There was a time when you could ignore instruction and still feel peace, when you could walk away and still sense grace covering you. But that season is ending. The deeper your calling, the stricter your discipline. Heaven is saying, you know too much now to pretend ignorance. You are accountable for what you have heard. Rebellion always begins subtly. It does not start with loud defiance, but with quiet compromise. You convince yourself that one small act of disobedience will not matter, that you can delay repentance until later. But later is the enemy's favorite word. Heaven moves in now. Every postponed obedience strengthens the grip of darkness. The enemy does not fear your worship if he can control your will. He will let you sing songs of faith as long as you never act in faith. He will let you speak of surrender as long as you never practice it. But the moment you obey, truly obey, his grip breaks. That is why rebellion is so dangerous. It is not only sin, it is strategy. Chosen one. You are being called to full alignment. Heaven is not asking for perfection, only for purity of intent. The angels beside you cannot guard divided loyalty. Choose whom you will serve, fear or faith, delay or obedience, comfort or calling. You cannot serve both. Do not let guilt chain you here. The warning of heaven is never meant to shame, it is meant to save. Conviction is a gift. It is proof that your heart still beats in rhythm with the Spirit. When you feel that inner stirring, do not silence it. Do not harden what heaven is softening. You stand now in a pivotal place. The angels who came to rescue you stand waiting for your next response. Will you obey the whisper? Or will you repeat the cycle? The choice is yours. But the consequences belong to eternity. Heaven's mercy is wide, but rebellion narrows your path until you can no longer walk freely. Do not be deceived by temporary comfort. Rebellion often feels like relief at first. It promises freedom but delivers chains. It offers shortcuts but hides cliffs. Those who yield to it may seem to prosper, but their roots are shallow, their peace fragile. Heaven will not allow you to walk that road without warning. Beloved, this message reaches you not to terrify, but to turn you. The Father's love is calling you back into alignment. You have been rescued for a reason, not for rebellion. Heaven cannot rescue what insists on returning to captivity. The time for half-hearted obedience is over. The season for divided devotion is done. You are chosen, marked, and watched over. Do not let rebellion silence what grace began. The same voice that warns also welcomes. All it requires is your return. Step back under the covering. Return to the path of surrender. The angels will move again the moment you do. Heaven waits not for your perfection, but for your yes. Chosen one. Heaven is not simply saving you, it is inviting you into covenant. Rescue is mercy, but covenant is purpose. Mercy pulled you out of darkness, but covenant teaches you how to walk in light. You were not just delivered from something, you were delivered for something. Every act of grace that touched your life was meant to draw you closer to partnership with heaven. A covenant is not a contract. Contracts can be broken. Covenants are sealed in spirit. They are written not with ink, but with surrender. When you say yes to God, you are not signing a paper, you are giving him permission to build his kingdom through you. And heaven takes that yes seriously. The word of God declares in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 9, "Know that the Lord your God is faithful, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations." This ancient declaration stretches from Moses' time into yours. The same covenant-keeping God who walked with Abraham and David now extends his hand toward you. Chosen one. You are not meant to walk as a beggar of blessings, but as a keeper of covenant. Blessings flow naturally to those who live in alignment with divine order. The angels around you are not merely protectors, they are witnesses of your vow. When you obey, they record your faithfulness in heaven's archives. When you waver, they whisper reminders of the promise you made when you said, "Yes, Lord." Covenant is costly, but it is also powerful. It will separate you from the ordinary, but it will secure you under supernatural favor. Those who honor covenant do not need to chase opportunity. Opportunity chases them. Every divine agreement comes with angelic backing. You have perhaps noticed lately that certain relationships are fading, certain doors closing. Do not grieve what heaven is removing. Some connections were built on convenience, not covenant. The season you are entering requires purity of alliance. You cannot carry everyone into your promised land. Covenant people walk in narrow paths, surrounded by those who understand obedience. When you entered this divine partnership, heaven marked your steps. That is why old patterns now feel painful. Why compromise that once felt easy now feels unbearable. The covenant has changed your spiritual chemistry. Your soul knows what it belongs to. When you try to return to what God rescued you from, something inside recoils. That discomfort is not punishment, it is protection. Every covenant has a sound. It speaks in conviction, in clarity, in peace that surpasses understanding. The enemy knows this, which is why he tries to lure you into counterfeit covenants, agreements built on fear, shame, or convenience. He offers shortcuts that mimic divine promises, but lead to spiritual exhaustion. You must discern the voice of heaven from the echo of hell. Chosen one. Covenant means continuity. What you begin in faith, heaven sustains. Even when you falter, grace reminds you who you are. You are not in covenant alone. God upholds his end perfectly. His faithfulness never weakens, even when yours trembles. That is why restoration is always available. The covenant may be tested, but it cannot be terminated. In this divine agreement, obedience is the signature and faithfulness is the seal. Heaven asks not for flawless performance, but for consistent surrender. The angels around you delight in every small act of trust, every quiet moment when you choose to believe again. This is what heaven whispers now: guard what we have built together. Do not treat holy things casually. The covenant you carry is sacred ground. Protect it through prayer. Strengthen it through obedience. Renew it through worship. Every morning, whisper again your yes. You may not realize it, but your obedience affects generations after you. When you keep covenant, you rewrite family history. Curses break, blessings flow, and the next generation inherits freedom instead of bondage. The covenant you honor becomes a torch in your lineage, burning long after you are gone. Chosen one. Do not let fear tell you that covenant limits you. It liberates you. It frees you from the endless searching for purpose, because now your purpose is partnership. You are no longer wandering, you are walking under divine contract, guided by eternal love. Right now, heaven stands witness. The angels who walk beside you hold the covenant scroll, sealed in light. Your name glows upon it. You are not forgotten. You are written into heaven's story. So, take a deep breath. Let gratitude rise in your chest. Feel the weight of what you carry, but also its glory. You are not simply surviving. You are representing heaven's promise on earth. And now, to seal this moment of alignment, write these words as your declaration: I choose covenant. Type them below as your symbolic yes to the ongoing partnership between you and heaven. These 3 words are more than a comment. They are an echo in the unseen realm, a reminder that you are not bound by fear, but bonded by faith. Heaven will see your words and mark them again as a renewed agreement of love and loyalty. Chosen one, something sacred is shifting. The fog that once clouded your sight begins to clear. The angels who were sent to rescue you are lifting the veil from your understanding. What once felt confusing is coming into focus. The path that looked broken now reveals divine design. You are beginning to see not just what happened to you, but why it happened. Heaven is unveiling your assignment. This is the hour when purpose takes shape. What you called chaos was construction. Every detour was direction in disguise. The enemy's attacks were never about destroying you, they were about distracting you from identity. Because once you know who you are, you become unstoppable. We are reminded through the writings of Paul in the letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. These words are the key to your vision. They mean that nothing, no wound, no loss, no betrayal was wasted. Heaven has been working behind the scenes, weaving your fragments into a masterpiece of redemption. Chosen one, you are awakening to who you have always been. The reason you never fit in is because you were never meant to. You are a messenger wrapped in mortal skin, a voice that carries heaven's tone in an earthly language. Your assignment is not a career or a title. It is the calling to carry light wherever darkness tries to linger. Imagine yourself as a lantern. For years, storms have blown against you, trying to extinguish the flame inside. But the wind could not win because the fire was not from this world. Now that fire is growing stronger, clearer, steadier. The smoke of confusion is clearing. You are seeing again. Purpose is like sunrise. It rarely explodes. It unfolds. Light touches the horizon before it fills the sky. Heaven never reveals everything at once because revelation without readiness becomes ruin. So the unveiling is gradual, like dawn warming a cold field. What you see now is only the beginning. You may find your calling in the ordinary, comforting a stranger, forgiving an enemy, creating something beautiful from pain. Do not underestimate small acts of obedience. They are seeds of eternal impact. The angels guiding you record every step that aligns with heaven's will. They know that the smallest yes can echo louder than sermons. And when you feel unworthy or uncertain, remember, clarity grows in obedience. The more you walk, the clearer the path becomes. Light moves for those who move in faith. You do not need to see the entire road to take the next step. Just trust that the same hand that guided Abraham through the desert now guides you through this digital wilderness. The unveiling of assignment often brings a new kind of battle, the battle of belief. The enemy will whisper that you are unqualified, too late, too broken. But heaven sees something different. You are a living testimony, proof that grace not only forgives, but transforms. You are not behind, you are right on time. Chosen one. As this revelation settles in, let your gratitude become movement. When you like these messages, it is more than support. It is a spark that keeps the light traveling. Each share becomes a ripple of hope, reaching someone else in their darkness. When you subscribe, you join a family of believers walking the same narrow path, learning the same language of faith. And if you ever feel moved to donate, think of it not as giving away, but as pouring oil into a lamp. The more oil, the longer the flame burns. Your generosity keeps this light glowing for others who have not yet found their way home. Every offering, no matter how small, is noticed by heaven and multiplied in purpose. You are part of something eternal now. This isn't about algorithms or screens, it's about building an altar across the digital world, where words become wings and faith finds voice. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The fog has lifted, the light is breaking, and your purpose is rising. You were not created to survive, you were created to shine. Every word you speak, every act you choose in love, becomes a reflection of heaven's design. The angels walk before you, clearing the path, and the spirit within you whispers, keep going. So, go forward, radiant and resolute. The unveiling is not the end, it is the beginning of impact. Your obedience will light cities unseen. Your story will heal hearts you'll never meet. And your name will be remembered not for fame, but for faithfulness. The sky is clearing. The dawn has arrived. Step into it. Chosen one, the world is waiting for your light. Chosen one, you have walked through the fire, and yet here you stand unburned, unbroken, transformed. The flames that surrounded you were never meant to destroy, they were meant to define. This season of purification was heaven's forge, where your faith was melted, molded, and made unshakable. The refining fire of God does not come as punishment, but as preparation. It burns away what is false, so that what is true can remain. Every trial you endured was a divine cleansing, a stripping away of layers that hid your authentic light. You prayed for strength, and heaven answered not with comfort, but with fire, because strength is not gifted. It is grown. You may have wondered why life suddenly intensified, why people left, why things you depended on began to crumble. It was not rejection, it was refinement. Heaven could not let you enter the next level of glory carrying the weight of old wounds. Fire consumes what chains cannot break. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9. I will bring that third through the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people. And they will say, the Lord is our God. These ancient words mirror your journey. You have been refined, tested, and chosen anew. Chosen one. Purification is never painless. The same fire that purifies silver melts away impurities that cling to its surface. So too, your soul has been melted by grief, loss, and change. But beneath it all, something sacred remains the core of who you were created to be. You have come out brighter, purer, and stronger. The process was not punishment, it was proof. Proof that your faith is real. Proof that your devotion is deep. Proof that your calling is worth protecting. You were not being destroyed, you were being distinguished. Heaven marks those who can endure the heat. Think of a goldsmith tending to molten metal. He never leaves the fire unattended. He watches closely, adjusting the flame until every impurity rises to the surface. Only when he can see his reflection in the gold does he remove it from the furnace. That is what your Father has done. He has watched you through the fire, waiting until he could see his reflection in you. Every disappointment, every broken dream, every heartbreak was part of the refining. The relationships that fell apart, exposed dependence. The failures revealed pride. The waiting taught trust. You may not have understood it then, but heaven was shaping your character to carry your calling. There were nights when you cried out, asking, "Why me?" Lord Heaven's answer was silent but sure, "Because I can trust you with the flame." The fire you faced has not left you weaker, it has made you wise. Now you can discern truth from imitation, love from illusion, peace from performance. The fire has given you sight. Chosen one, there is a radiance about you now that wasn't there before. You have walked through what others feared, and you carry within you a light that can no longer be dimmed by circumstance. The purity of your heart draws heaven's attention because it bears the fragrance of surrender. Do not despise the ashes left behind. They are the remnants of what you've overcome. Like incense, they rise as testimony that you endured. The angels who accompanied you through this season have recorded your perseverance in heaven's archives. They know the cost of your obedience, the price of your patience, and the beauty of your surrender. And now the fire begins to cool. The testing season draws to a close. What remains is holy ground. You have been forged into someone new, unrecognizable to your past, unapproachable to your old fears. The same flames that once frightened you now serve you, lighting your path forward. You have emerged from the furnace with authority. Where once you spoke from theory, now you speak from testimony. You carry healing in your words because you have been healed. You carry power in your prayers because you have been pressed. Every scar now glows with purpose. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The worst is behind you. You are not merely surviving the fire, you are shining through it. The God who led you into the flames has also led you out, and nothing was lost that heaven intends to restore. You are proof that refinement works, that purity is possible, and that faith can rise from ashes. Go forward now, not afraid of the fire, but thankful for it. For what once burned you now blesses you. You carry heaven's reflection, and that is something no darkness can erase. Chosen one, heaven has seen the weariness in your soul, the battles, the losses, the constant pressure to stay strong. It has drained you. But this moment marks a sacred exchange. You are stepping into the season where heaven trades your weakness for strength, your sorrow for joy, your confusion for clarity. This is not a poetic idea. It is a spiritual transaction. The divine is taking what you cannot carry and returning what you have long prayed for, restoration. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 61, verse 3, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. These are not empty promises, they are instructions for divine exchange. Heaven never takes without replacing. When God asks you to release something, it is only to place something greater in your hands. You have spent seasons trying to hold on, gripping people, opportunities, and dreams that slipped away like smoke. And yet, what you lost was never meant to be permanent. Heaven never lets go of what is truly yours. It simply removes what was temporary. The release you resisted has made room for the renewal you prayed for. Chosen one, you cannot receive with closed hands. That is why God sometimes allows loss, not to punish, but to position. The things that fell apart were never the foundation. They were scaffolding. They were there to help you build, not to stay forever. Heaven is saying, now that your hands are free, Let me fill them again. You are being invited to rest. The angels who have walked beside you have not only fought battles, they have also carried burdens you could not see. There were nights when you felt an unexplainable calm in the middle of chaos. That was no accident. That was divine exchange already in motion. The weight you carried was lifted by unseen hands. Think of your life as a vessel. For so long, you have poured out love, faith, forgiveness, energy until your cup felt empty. But heaven is refilling you now. The divine exchange begins at the moment you surrender, not when you strive. The Lord never rewards exhaustion, He restores surrender. You are not called to be constantly drained. You are called to overflow. This new chapter is about restoration, not survival. You will no longer live in fragments. The same God who allowed the breaking is now bringing the rebuilding. Where there was scarcity, abundance is coming. Where there was loss, multiplication follows. Heaven has already begun replacing your ashes with beauty. That heaviness that used to sit on your chest is lifting. The memories that once brought pain are being rewritten with peace. The angels are placing oil on your spirit, a healing oil that softens what bitterness tried to harden. Chosen one. Do not fear this exchange. It may feel strange at first to live without constant struggle. But peace is your new normal. You were not created to live in crisis. You were created to live in covenant. The noise is quieting. The pace is slowing. And your heart is learning what it means to be whole again. Imagine standing before the gates of dawn. The sky still painted in soft grey. You are holding out the remnants of your past ashes. Tears. Unanswered questions. Then, suddenly, light touches them. They shimmer, dissolve, and from the same space rises something new, a crown, a song, a strength you did not know was possible. That is what heaven is doing right now. Restoration does not mean returning to what was lost. It means becoming someone who no longer needs what was lost. You will not go back to who you were. You will rise as who you were meant to be. Heaven is not rebuilding your old life, it is building your true one. The divine exchange is not always loud. It happens in stillness, in quiet moments of surrender, in silent tears that turn into strength. You may not see it happening, but you will feel it. The weight you once carried will no longer define you. The grief that once silenced your praise will now fuel your worship. Chosen one. Your restoration is not partial, it is total. The angels assigned to you are working even now to restore connections, open opportunities, and strengthen what was weak. They are aligning divine resources to ensure that nothing is missing. Heaven does not restore halfway. You have cried long enough. You have fought long enough. Now you will breathe again. This is not just a promise, it is a proclamation. Heaven declares over you, it is finished. The struggle has done its work. Now comes renewal. Let peace settle where panic once ruled. Let gratitude grow where grief once lived. You are walking out of survival and into sovereignty. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, you are a vessel of victory. And as a prophetic act of agreement with heaven's restoration, comment the number 5,555 below. This number represents divine grace, multiplied favor upon favor, mercy upon mercy. When you write it, let it symbolize your acceptance of the divine exchange. You are declaring that you release the old to receive the new, that you trade pain for peace and weariness for wonder. Heaven will see your declaration and respond with renewal. Chosen one, it is done. The exchange has begun. You are stepping into a life restored by grace and fueled by divine strength. Welcome to your renewal. Chosen one, the winds of restoration have begun to blow. What was once broken is being pieced together with divine precision. You can almost sense it, the subtle shift in the air, the quiet hum of change unfolding beneath the surface of your days. Restoration is not sudden thunder, it is the sunrise, slowly reclaiming the sky. It happens quietly, faithfully, and completely. Everything that was stolen from you, time, peace, opportunity, relationships, is being touched by heaven's hand. The God who restores does not simply return what was lost, he multiplies it. The same way a seed buried in soil multiplies into harvest. Your buried seasons are now bringing forth abundance. The voice of heaven speaks through the prophet Joel. Chapter 2, verse 25. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. That promise is not metaphor, it is a spiritual law. Whatever the enemy devoured through delay, deception, or distraction, heaven is commanding back to you with interest. The years you thought were wasted will sing again. The opportunities that seemed gone forever are circling back, reformed and refined. Restoration does not mean repeating the past, it means redeeming it. God is not bringing back the same things, he is bringing back the purpose they were meant to serve. What once wounded you will now work for you. What once caused tears will soon become testimony. Heaven specializes in turning ruins into revelations. Think of a tapestry being woven on a loom. Up close, the threads seem tangled, chaotic, without sense or pattern. But step back, and suddenly the image appears. Every thread, every heartbreak, every delay, every dark night was necessary to create the masterpiece. Your story, once painful and fragmented, is revealing its divine design. Chosen one. Restoration often begins with memory. God will remind you of dreams you buried because of disappointment. You may suddenly feel a desire to revisit passions you thought had died. That is not nostalgia, that is resurrection. Heaven is breathing life into what once lay dormant. Do not be afraid to hope again. The same God who let those dreams sleep is now waking them at the right time. You will begin to notice small signs first. Unexpected messages, open doors where there used to be walls, people appearing who carry answers to prayers you had long forgotten. The angels assigned to your life are orchestrating these alignments quietly, ensuring that every piece falls into place. Restoration rarely shouts, it whispers through divine coincidence that reveals itself as providence. There will be moments when you struggle to believe it's real, when the new blessings feel too good to trust. That is because pain taught you to brace for loss. But heaven is retraining your heart to receive without fear. You are learning to dwell in abundance without suspicion. This is not the calm before another storm, it is peace without expiration. Remember how the Israelites carried scars from slavery even after freedom. So too, you may carry traces of what you've endured. But the difference now is that those scars no longer sting, they shine. They testify of battles survived and mercy sustained. Heaven will use your healed places to heal others. You are becoming both a sanctuary and a signpost. Do not be surprised if people who once left return, not for reconciliation, but for recognition. They will see the glow of restoration and know that only divine hands could have done this. Some will seek forgiveness, others will seek understanding. Your response should be grace. The restored do not seek revenge, they release. Chosen one, you are walking through a season where your laughter returns. The heaviness that clung to your chest is lifting like morning mist. Even your surroundings will start to reflect your inner renewal. The places that once felt dark will seem brighter, and conversations once painful will carry peace. Everything around you begins to harmonize with the new frequency of your spirit. The restoration also reaches within. You are rediscovering your voice, your creativity, your confidence. You no longer speak from fear, but from faith. Your prayers no longer sound like begging, they sound like partnering. Heaven hears in your tone the difference between desperation and destiny. And through it all, the angels continue their quiet work. They rebuild what you cannot see: connections, timing, and strength. They whisper encouragement while you sleep and stand guard as you move. Your restoration is not fragile, it is fortified. Chosen one, let this truth settle in your spirit. You have not missed your moment. What was meant for you could not be lost, only delayed. You are standing now in the recompense of grace. The harvest you are about to reap will make sense of every tear you ever sowed. So walk forward without fear. Restoration is not coming, it is here. You are living proof that heaven restores, not partially, but perfectly. Chosen one, after the storm and the refining fire, after the covenant and the restoration, there comes a silence. It is not the silence of absence, but of intimacy. Heaven quiets everything around you so you can finally hear what has been speaking all along: the still, small voice. It does not shout. It does not demand. Yet its whisper carries the weight of eternity. This is the season when God teaches you to listen differently. Before, you sought answers in thunder and lightning, in signs and wonders, in outward confirmations, but now the Spirit invites you to hear in the hush, to sense heaven's heartbeat between your breaths. The silence is not punishment, it is promotion. Only those who can handle silence can carry secrets. The prophet Elijah once sought God in dramatic displays: wind, earthquake, and fire, but found him instead in the quiet. The voice of God often hides behind stillness, because stillness separates the seekers from the spectators. Those who truly desire him will lean closer. Those who crave noise will drift away. You, chosen one, are being trained to discern whispers in the wind, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. This verse is your mirror. The same pattern repeats in you: storm, shaking, fire, and now the gentle whisper that reveals purpose. When God grows quiet, he is not gone. Silence is his way of deepening your roots. If revelation were constant, your faith would depend on noise, not knowing. So he allows the pause, the stillness, the sacred gap where trust matures. It is in the quiet moments that he rearranges what words could not reach. Chosen one, you are entering a divine classroom where the lessons are written in quiet light. The silence trains your sensitivity. You will begin to feel direction more than hear it, sense timing more than see it. You will know which path to take, not because of external confirmation, but because peace points the way. Peace becomes your compass. Do not mistake this calm for emptiness. Heaven's activity often increases when visibility decreases. The angels move silently in the background, setting the stage for your next assignment. You may not hear footsteps, but you will soon see results. What feels still is not stagnant, it is sacred suspense. In this season, God is teaching you to distinguish between solitude and isolation. Isolation is the lie of loneliness. Solitude is the luxury of presence. You are never alone when you walk with the Eternal. The very air around you hums with His nearness. You will learn to sit quietly, and suddenly tears will come without sadness. Warmth will rise without reason. That is how heaven speaks to those it trusts. You will also learn that silence is a sword. It cuts through the confusion of competing voices. When others demand explanations, you will answer with calm. When the world shouts for reaction, you will respond with stillness. This restraint will not be weakness, it will be wisdom. Heaven trains warriors in quiet before sending them to battle. Many fear silence because it forces confrontation with the self. But you, chosen one, have been prepared for it. The quiet reveals your true condition, not to shame you, but to shape you. You will see where fear still hides, where pride still whispers, where doubt still lingers, and you will surrender them one by one until nothing remains but clarity. Imagine walking through a forest at dawn. The world is hushed. The mist still clings to the leaves, and every sound feels magnified, the flap of wings, the crack of a twig, the rhythm of your breath. That is what this season feels like. Everything slows down so that the faintest whisper becomes unmistakable. You are learning to hear heaven's rhythm in the ordinary. Do not rush this quiet. The temptation will be to fill it with plans, with people, with noise. But silence is sacred soil where revelation grows. What God will plant in this stillness will feed you for years to come. This is where He reveals not just what you are to do, but who you are to be. The still small voice is not a sound, it is a presence. It lives within you, guiding gently, assuring firmly. When you finally recognize it, fear loses power. You will walk with the peace of those who no longer need constant confirmation. Your confidence will no longer come from outcomes, but from communion. Chosen one. Heaven is not asking you to perform, but to perceive, not to strive, but to stay. The silence around you is an embrace, not an exile. Rest in it. Listen deeply. Every whisper carries direction. Every pause hides promise. When you emerge from this sacred quiet, your voice will carry new authority. You will not speak from anxiety, but from assurance. You will move not by impulse, but by instruction. And those who hear you will recognize the tone of someone who has walked with God in silence and come out shining. So, be still. Beloved, the whisper is speaking. Heaven is near. Chosen one. You stand at the edge of decision, the final test of trust. Every lesson you have endured, every whisper you have followed, every fire you have survived has brought you to this precipice. Before you now lies a narrow bridge, suspended between what was and what will be. On one side stands safety, on the other, destiny. Heaven waits to see which voice you will follow. The final test is never about what you can do, it is about whether you will obey what you already know. God has spoken. The angels have guided. But now it is your move. The divine pattern has always been the same revelation. resistance, then response. You are in that sacred space where action must replace analysis. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 11, verse 28, "Blessed are those who hear the word of God and obey it." This is the moment where hearing ends and doing begins. Heaven blesses not the one who listens most, but the one who acts. This test will not appear in obvious form. It will not come dressed as thunder or lightning, but as a choice so simple it could almost be ignored, a prompt to forgive, to give, to go, or to stay. Heaven watches how you respond when obedience does not come with applause. The real test of trust happens in the quiet choices that no one else will see. Imagine a bird standing on the edge of a cliff. The wind howls beneath its wings. The valley stretches endlessly below. And yet, something inside says, "Jump." The bird hesitates, unsure if it can trust the air to hold it. But the truth is this: it was never designed to cling to the cliff. Its wings were made for the wind. You, chosen one, are that bird. Heaven has not called you to cling to comfort. Heaven has called you to fly. The angels who have walked with you stand at your side, urging courage. They do not force, they remind. They know that obedience opens what fear cannot. One step of faith will do what 1,000 prayers of hesitation cannot. Every great miracle in Scripture began with a moment of obedience that made no sense. This is your moment. You may feel fear whisper, "What if I fall?" But faith answers, "What if you fly?" Trust is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. Every leap of faith is a conversation between courage and calling. And when heaven sees you move, it multiplies momentum. Chosen one, your obedience will unlock not just your breakthrough, but also the blessings of those connected to you. There are people waiting on the other side of your yes, people who will never meet you, but will be healed, helped, and inspired because you chose to obey. You are not stepping for yourself alone, you are stepping for a generation. And as this message reaches your heart, let it echo beyond this moment. If these words stir something inside you, if they awaken a long silent faith, let that stirring become movement. When you like, it is not vanity, it is vibration. You are amplifying a sound that pushes light further into the noise of this world. When you share, you become part of the ripple that carries hope to the next weary soul. When you subscribe, you plant yourself in a stream of continual encouragement, allowing heaven to reach you again and again. If you ever feel led to donate, let it come not from pressure, but from purpose. Giving is not a transaction, it is transformation. Think of it as watering the soil that grew your own healing, ensuring that others may also bloom. Every seed you sow becomes a bridge for someone else's breakthrough. Heaven keeps record not of the amount, but of the heart behind it. And after you finish hearing, take one small step further, leave a reflection below. Comment what this word stirred in you. Maybe it's a phrase, a prayer, or a single sentence of gratitude. Your words become part of this altar, a chorus of testimonies that remind the world that faith still breathes. You never know who might read your comment at their lowest moment and find the courage to rise again. This is your cliff edge, your moment of decision. The wind of heaven is rising beneath you. The angels extend their wings beside yours. The time for hesitation is over. You are ready, equipped, and chosen for this exact crossing. Step forward, and the air will hold you. chosen one. The test is not meant to break you, it is meant to reveal you. Trust the process. Trust the promise. Trust the one who called you by name before time began. The bridge will not crumble beneath obedience. It was built to bear the weight of your faith. Now, breathe deeply. Lift your eyes and take the step. Chosen one. The crossing is complete. You have obeyed when it made no sense, trusted when sight failed, and surrendered when control felt easier. And now heaven begins to clothe you with what was promised. This is the moment when obedience becomes inheritance, when the servant becomes the heir. You stand crowned and armed not with pride, but with purpose. You are both warrior and witness. For many, crowns are symbols of glory, but for the chosen, they are reminders of grace. You wear not a crown of conquest, but of completion. Every tear you cried became a gem, every scar a symbol. Heaven has fashioned from your endurance a crown of divine authority, one that reflects not your perfection, but your perseverance. The Spirit spoke through the Apostle Paul in the second letter to Timothy. Chapter 4, verse 8. Now there is stored for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord will award to all who long. This is not just Paul's inheritance, it is yours. The same righteousness that sustained him through persecution now rests upon you. You have longed for his will, even when it hurt. You have chosen obedience over ease, and heaven rewards that. But the crown is not for display, it is for duty. Crowns signify calling. You are anointed not to be admired, but to be effective. Heaven's glory upon your life is not ornamental, it is operational. You are being entrusted with influence that shifts atmospheres, with words that carry weight in unseen realms. The crown reminds you who sent you, and the sword reminds you what you stand for. The sword you now carry is not forged in steel, but in spirit. It is the word of God alive within you. Every scripture that comforted you, every truth that sustained you, every whisper that redirected you has been sharpened into a weapon. The angels who walk beside you stand as witnesses that your warfare has changed. You no longer fight from fear, you fight from victory. You may sense it, a new confidence that doesn't come from pride, but from presence. The same Spirit that hovered over the waters in Genesis now hovers over you. Heaven has established you as a carrier of divine authority. When you speak, chains respond. When you pray, realms shift. You are no longer asking heaven to move, you are moving with heaven. Chosen one, this transformation did not come cheaply. It cost you nights of wrestling, days of silence, seasons of pruning, but that cost was the crucible of your crown. Without the fire, there would be no authority. Without the breaking, no blessing. Heaven refines its leaders in the quiet before revealing them in the light. Now the angels walk not merely as protectors, but as partners. They move at the sound of your command when it aligns with divine will. You have been given stewardship of spiritual authority, not for domination, but for restoration. Wherever you go, peace will follow. Your presence will disrupt darkness because your life has become an echo of divine order. Yet, even in glory, humility must remain your garment. Crowns are lost when pride grows louder than gratitude. The greatest strength of the chosen is not power, it is purity. The moment you forget who placed the crown upon your head, the weight of it becomes unbearable. Heaven crowns only those who remember who they serve. So walk carefully, yet confidently. You are a carrier of both crown and sword, symbol of rule and instrument of righteousness. The crown reminds you that you belong to the king. The sword reminds you that you defend his kingdom. When you raise your voice, do so in love. When you stand in authority, do so in humility. Picture yourself standing upon a mountain at sunrise. The wind carries the scent of new beginnings. The sky glows with colors you've never seen before. Upon your head rests a radiant crown, not of gold, but of light. In your hand, a sword shines not for violence, but for victory. The dawn rises behind you, and the shadow of who you were fades into memory. This is what heaven sees when it looks at you. Chosen one. The journey has transformed you. You are no longer defined by what you survived, but by what you now carry. You bear heaven's emblem in your spirit. You have authority to heal, to build, to bless. The angels walk beside you, not as rescuers, but as collaborators. You are no longer waiting for rescue. You are part of the rescue for others. The crown is your reminder of belonging. The sword is your reminder of purpose. And together, they form the identity of a royal warrior, a servant of light, appointed for this exact moment in time. Walk with dignity, speak with wisdom, move with grace. You are chosen, crowned, and commissioned. The King has trusted you with his insignia. Now, go and reflect his glory wherever your feet may tread. Chosen one. The mission of the two angels nears its fulfillment. What began with divine interruption now concludes in divine alignment. They have walked beside you through shadow and storm, through silence and fire, through obedience and awakening. And now, as heaven's work reaches completion, peace descends like gentle rain. The rescue is fulfilled not because you were spared from struggle, but because you were strengthened through it. The angels who once fought for your survival now stand as witnesses of your transformation. They no longer shield a trembling soul. They salute a steadfast one. You have become what they were sent to: awaken an heir of light, aware of destiny, secure in purpose. Their mission is accomplished, not because you are perfect, but because you are aligned. The Spirit declares through the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." Completion is not the end, it is continuation on a higher plane. The same God who started your story writes the final lines with joy, not farewell. The angels depart, not in sorrow, but in satisfaction. Chosen one, take a breath. Feel the calm that fills the spaces once haunted by confusion. The storm that once surrounded you is silent now because its purpose is complete. You were never meant to remain in the valley forever. You were meant to pass through it, carrying light for those still wandering. The rescue was not only about your deliverance, it was training for your divine assignment. You are no longer the one being pulled from the flood. You are the one extending your hand to others drowning in doubt. Heaven has turned your pain into empathy, your scars into maps, your story into a bridge. Those who encounter you will sense something different, not the weight of your past, but the fragrance of redemption. You have become living proof that mercy still moves through human hearts. The two angels who guided you now ascend, their wings bright with the reflection of your obedience. Their mission reports to heaven are filled with testimony moments when you chose faith over fear, surrender over struggle, truth over comfort. Each decision you made in silence echoes through the realms as worship. You have become the answer to your own prayer for rescue. As they rise, they leave behind more than protection. They leave impartation. Their presence lingers in your spirit like a mantle. The courage they carried now lives within you. The discernment they whispered now guides your thoughts. The peace they embodied now follows you wherever you go. You are not without them, you are their continuation. Chosen one, the journey has refined you into rare metal. The weight you carry now is not burden, but blessing. You no longer look at life through the lens of loss, but through the clarity of purpose. You understand now that every delay was direction, every detour design, every silence sacred. Nothing was wasted, everything was woven. In this moment of holy stillness, heaven's voice speaks again, not in urgency, but in affirmation. You have done well. The words flow not as flattery, but as truth. You responded when others resisted. You trusted when others retreated. You carried the cross of obedience until it became a crown of understanding. Now, peace becomes your portion. The angel's departure is not absence, it is graduation. They step back so that you may step forward in authority. You no longer need constant rescue because you have learned to live rescued. The Spirit of God within you now does what their presence once did around you. Imagine standing beneath an open sky at twilight. The last rays of the sun fade into deep gold, and a quiet warmth lingers on your skin. You sense movement above a rustle, a shimmer, and though your eyes cannot see, your heart knows the angels are rising. You whisper gratitude, and a gentle wind brushes your face as if to say, farewell. Yet even in their leaving, there is no loss, only completion. Chosen one, this is not goodbye, it is graduation. You have walked from captivity into calling, from confusion into clarity, from endurance into empowerment. Heaven rejoices not because the rescue is over, but because the rescued has become a rescuer. You are now part of heaven's strategy on earth, a living reminder that obedience still births miracles. Carry this peace as your proof. Live quietly but boldly. Let your life be the sermon that speaks louder than words. The two angels who were sent to you now return to the throne, their wings gleaming with the reflection of your journey. As they vanish into light, a new awareness settles in your heart. You were never alone, and you never will be. The rescue has come full circle. Heaven began it, heaven completed it, and now you walk forward free, faithful, fearless into the purpose that has been waiting for you all along. Chosen one, take a moment to breathe. The journey has been long, 17 steps through fire, silence, revelation, and renewal, and yet, here you stand, radiant with peace. Heaven has completed its mission, but your story continues. You are no longer simply the one who was rescued. You are now the one who carries the message of rescue for others. When you look back, you will see that every word, every whisper, every pause was designed to awaken you. The angels may have returned to heaven, but their echo lingers in your life. You walk now in a different rhythm, one shaped by trust, anchored in purpose, and crowned with light. The storms that once frightened you now remind you of how far you've come. You've discovered what few ever do, that obedience opens more doors than striving ever could. And as you leave this sacred space, remember, you are part of something larger. There are others still wandering, still waiting for a message like the one that found you. When you like and share, you are not just reacting, you are releasing light into the digital wilderness. Someone's midnight may be brightened by your small act of faith. When you subscribe, you stay connected to this divine flow, ensuring that every word heaven sends next finds you right on time. And if this message touched something deep within you, take a moment to comment below. Write what this journey has awakened in you, a single sentence, a short prayer, a quiet thank you. Your words might be the spark that lifts another weary soul. Go forward, chosen one, with peace in your heart and purpose in your hands. You are light. You are living proof, and heaven still walks beside you.